Hi, Professor. I'm not here to talk about the 90s or how awesome it was to grow up during that time, but how much pride I take in saying that I am a 90s kid. That would simply take all day long, and I don't have that much time. So instead, I'm just going to talk to you about specific days during my birth month and year, October 1992, that I thought were interesting, relevant, and worth sharing. And here with me to listen is my audience of my mom, my dad, my sister, and my cat. So the first day I'm going to talk about is October 1st, 1992. Cartoon Network was first broadcast on television. Cartoon Network is an American cable television network which primarily airs animated programming. It was originally a 24-hour outlet for classic animation and was all ages oriented, but now the channel targets kids and teens ages 8 to 15, broadcasting mature content during late night Adult Swim. This channel broadcast all the classics back in the day, like Dexter's Laboratory, The Powerpuff Girls, Edna and Eddie, Johnny Bravo, and Courage the Cowardly Dog, some of which are now on Netflix. This channel is still available, but with new cartoons that appeal to the new generations. The next day I'm going to talk about is October 3rd. Sinead O'Connor rips up a picture of Pope John Paul II on Saturday Night Live. I thought this was relevant because we just recently got a new pope. What happened was she appeared on SNL as a musical guest, where she sang an a cappella version of Bob Marley's War. She intended this song as a protest over alleged child abuse by the Roman Catholic Church by changing the lyric racism to child abuse. She pulled out a picture of Pope John Paul II, held it up to the camera while singing the word evil, and then proceeded to tear the picture into pieces and said, "Fight the real enemy," and threw the pieces towards the camera. It sparked a lot of controversy, and NBC got a lot of phone calls about it. On October 9th, 1992, an estimated 26-pound fragment of the Peekskill meteorite landed in the driveway of a residence in Peekskill, New York, destroying a family's car. This was an event witnessed by thousands across the East Coast. The estimated 4.4 billion-year-old meteorite broke up over Kentucky, passed over West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. before striking a parked 1980 red Chevy Malibu in Peekskill, New York. The meteorite, traveling across the sky, was documented by 16 separate video recordings. The car, as well as the main mass of the meteorite, is currently in Makovich Collection of Meteorites in Tucson, Arizona. In the celebrity world, on October 12, 1992, Josh Hutcherson was born. Josh Hutcherson is an American film and television actor. He began acting in the early 2000s, appearing in several minor film and television roles. He is known for his major roles in the comedy RV, the film adaptation of Bridge to Terabithia, and his most recent work done in the remake of Red Dawn, and the film adaptations of The Hunger Games and the upcoming movie Catching Fire. And only 3 days later, on October 15, 1992, I was born. Last but not least, on October 28th, cult minister Lee Jae-rim of South Korea's Dami mission was the first to predict a doomsday of October 28th. On this day, the capital virtually closed down, and streets were filled with riot police and ambulances, while religious cultists awaited the rapture that would bring them to heaven and signal the end of the world. 20,000 people around the world eventually were caught up in the madness, all awaiting the midnight deadline. Fortunately for the rest of the world, the midnight deadline had come and passed, and by morning everyone went home. A few months later, Lee Jae-rim was convicted on fraud charges. He had collected $4.4 million from his followers, and with this money he bought large amounts of bonds that would mature well after the October 28th end of the world. I am pretty sure that he set the whole thing up because wherever he expected his followers to be, Lee himself planned to be around to enjoy his long-term investments. Well, those were the events that I chose that occurred during October of 1992. I chose them specifically because I felt that they had some sort of relevance to recent events in one way or another. So, audience, which event did you find the most interesting?
I found the event that you were born that day, the 15th. I was hoping you'd come on the 14th because I had like 3 days of labor, but you wanted to come on the 15th. So that's the most interesting thing for me.
Daddy?
Well, I'd have to say about the meteor, because that reminded me of time that we went to the big crater in Arizona,
Yeah, I remember that.
and you were little then, but
I remember throwing rocks down in it.
that was very interesting to actually see something that came from out there.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Alex?
Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
So I like cartoons.
Okay, well, thank you for watching my video and listening to my speech, and I hope you all learned something, and Professor, I hope you learned something new too. Thank you. Oh.